Hey everybody, we're back in the shop today and we're kind of going to dive into a few more topics, and one of them here is going to be clutching on snowmobiles and more so just the maintenance of it. So we've got a couple clutches here on the table, broke down a little bit so we can kind of dive into them and show you a few things we look for when we're doing pre-season work, things like that, and just wanting to make sure that we're keeping our machine running at the best level of performance it can. So diving into this one's a used clutch. This is a P85 Polaris clutch off of like a late model RMK 850, and this one, it's got a few hundred miles on it, and you can see right here, like, it's pretty dirty, you know what I mean? So you get a lot of belt dust, a lot of those kinds of things on here, and it just makes everything dirty and kind of makes a mess. So every season at a minimum, and I would recommend doing this a couple times throughout the year if you're putting a lot of miles on, but pull your clutch off your machine and pop it down to this point right here. Pretty simple. Take the cover off, you can pull your weights out and give this thing a good clean. You can do that with, like, say, a mild citrus type cleaner like Simple Green, something like that. If it's really bad, you can use like a contact cleaner to get all these surfaces clean and do that. And then after you've got it clean, you're going to want to inspect everything. So we'll jump over here to the clean one here to show you some of that, just places to look, things to check, and some setup things. So first thing, once you got it apart, check your rollers. Right in here, this is what your weight rides on, and check your rollers, make sure they all spin free, make sure they don't have any irregularities in them, no weird wear patterns or anything like that, and they're nice and smooth and they're all rolling free. And then second, take a good look at your weights. Same kind of thing. Make sure that there's no irregular wear patterns on your weight. If you've had a bad bushing or a bushing go out in one of these, sometimes the weight will tend to fly at an angle in the clutch and wear things out prematurely. So definitely look at your bushings, make sure they're nice and tight, make sure you got a good solid engagement there with the pin that's even, and then also to your pin. Same thing on that. Make sure that you don't have any grooves starting to form in your pin or anything like that, and that everything looks good on that, nice and smooth, no ridges, anything like that. If you do find anything like that, replace the pin. They're not terribly expensive. If you've got a questionable bushing in a weight, just replace you can, in a lot of cases, you can get just the bushings and put new bushings in the weight, or you can replace the weight altogether if need be. Second thing, springs. Springs I consider them to be a wear item. So I would very carefully look over your spring every year. I'm a big fan of actually probably replacing my primary spring at the first of the season, just out of an abundance of caution. I like to make sure that everything's working the best it possibly can. And springs can be a wear item. They can break, they can fatigue over time, especially if you're running a higher mileage machine. So take a really close look at your springs. Make sure that it's in good shape, good condition. Again, they aren't terribly expensive to replace. So if it's questionable, I would just replace it. It's easier to do it now than it is to deal with. I mean, nobody wants to deal with a broken spring on the hill in a 2-foot powder day or 3-foot powder day, you know what I mean? So we want our machine to run the best it can all the time. So preventive maintenance like this goes a really long way. Also, setup on this. Belt to sheave clearance is a really big thing also. This one we'll set up and we'll get adjusted on this new clutch here, and we're going to set that belt to sheave clearance at around 20 thousandths on this P85 Polaris. They will vary a little bit slightly from machine to machine. Kind of check your owner's manual and refer to those specs. But we're going to set this one up. We're going to reshim the spider, and it will bring our belt to sheave clearance into that tight tolerance. I like to run them on the tighter side of that tolerance. So for overall stuff, that's kind of the highlights of things that you're going to want to start, you're going to want to look at. When you're going back together with a clutch, keep in mind they do have markings on them to line everything back up as you go together. So if you have the spider out, make sure you identify the marking on the clutch sheave, the spider, and the cover also. So when you go back together, the clutch stays in balance. If you have a mismatch, the clutch is going to be off balance, and that's when you really run the risk of having major catastrophic failure with either a clutch or, even worse, possible engine damage, with that being off balance out on the end of your crankshaft spinning at 8,000 RPM. So Another thing along those lines, I highly recommend having your clutches balanced, at a minimum your primary, just to make sure everything's where you want it to be. We did that with this one. I was surprised how much weight we actually had to pull out of it to get it in balance. As a new clutch from the factory, they're okay, but they can definitely be better. So talk to a local machine shop or whoever you got, or there's several companies out there that do a great job. You can mail your stuff into them and they will balance your clutches and get you set up just perfect for that. We'll do another video in the future on having them in, setting up belt deflection, all that kind of stuff. Just little things that make a big difference at the end of the day. So keep an eye out for more videos like this, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.